Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Gonna do a little bit different video today. We're gonna do a video on my B7 runner that I've never actually ran. But I woke up this morning, got my orange juice. Mom made me a toaster strudel. Apologize that my Curious George t-shirt was still in the laundry, but I let that shit slide. Now I'm down here in the basement, gonna walk through this thing because this has been my backup car to my B5 and my RC10 for 7 months, and it's never hit the track. It's brand new. I've just put I had these wheels and tires, and these are what I used on my B5 to race, and they're kind of all blown out, but I put them on here because I was measuring ride height and getting some setup changes done. So now that I have that done, I'll walk you through this because I don't know. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of modern cars, and I did like kind of hopping this up, and this is actually the third B7 that I've had, because the first two I sold. I built them, I got them all kind of tricked out, and then I threw them up on eBay and sold them because I was taking them as backup cars and I never raced them. And I was getting more and more into vintage, and then obviously as I got more and more vintage cars, I had a B5 and this was a backup, and then I started getting my RC10s and my 870Cs, and I was taking those to the track, and this has just been sitting on the shelf. This was what I was going to race at Rumble in the Rockies, but I just didn't get signed up. It's 3 days. It was over Valentine's Day. It's also my wife and I's 16th anniversary. So a little tough to get time off, and so unfortunately had to skip it this year, but we'll continue to race and do some other stuff. But a dive into the B7. So take the body off here, and I'll show you how we got this set up. And I usually do use two bodies, whether it's on B7 or, more realistically, this applies to my Losi 50 Elite. So I would run a kit body. There were some bigger jumps and stuff like that. And if it was lower jumps and kind of your car was more on the ground, so to speak, I would run a J Concepts P2 body. And that seemed to perform a little bit better. So I painted both bodies and have those available for my B7. But pretty close to what Ryan Harris had on a lot of stuff. I copied a lot of his setup over into this, so we'll kind of go, I guess, front to back on this thing. So I'm running the -2 camber plates in the front, just like Ryan Harris, carbon arms on it. Do run a front wing, Kashima shock bodies with the kit setup in there. I am running R1 Works titanium turnbuckles on this as well, and I think that's about kind of it, like on the front end, except the pivot block on the front is also an R1 -2.5 degree on there. Do run Shelly, I think, the titanium shock screws both on the bottoms and on the uppers, even though the uppers are covered. Do run the R1 Works standoffs front and back on here. I am running the R1 Works complete steering rack in the B7 as well. That's hooked up to factory team servo horn, which goes back to starting to get into electronics now, and Protec servo. Always like the Protec 160s on there. And then I am running a Hobbywing G2 XR10 Pro on here. So this is what we're probably going to put in our Yokomo Works 91. It is a little bit taller, but I'll probably put that in there. And what I'll probably do is I'll get one anyway, because I am running a G2 spec in my 870C. And if we go to Reedy, I shouldn't say if we go. Going to Reedy race this fall, I am going to run XR10 Pros in whatever four-wheel drive I take. So I'm going to have one of these, and I may put it in my 91 Works, or I may switch them out, put it in my 870, take the G2 out of the 870, put it in the 91 Works. We'll see. But are running Hobby Wings, and it's mainly because I have the programmer for all the Hobby Wing stuff, so I can utilize the programmer on that. Have our transponder mounted to the back of the servo, running our FlySky receiver for our Noble. And if you guys haven't used a Noble radio, they are fantastic. So I would highly recommend checking out Ryan Harris's video. He does a complete walkthrough of the Noble 4, and I ran a Noble 4. I actually have a Gen 1, and it's been fantastic. And I've had a Gen 2, but I had a B7 that was completely built, and the guy wanted the radio and everything. So he literally wanted the battery pack charged, so when it showed up, he could go straight to the track. And so money talks, and so I let that go. But I will probably be picking up an updated one, obviously, I think before the Associated Vintage race come this fall. On our batteries, running an R1 adjustable battery mount on here as well. So haven't really utilized it yet, but yeah, we'll be running that. The one thing I did do is I accidentally kind of soldered my wires super short. And so I actually have to take this out to slide a battery in and then bolt it back in. Not a big deal, because I kind of do that once a day on a race weekend. Running, and then obviously doing some easy pull plugs, because my little hands have a hard time grabbing when they're down there. So got our plugs in there. 5mm. Usually use a ProTech high voltage battery pack on there. So run that high voltage. Running an R1 Works motor with titanium screws in there as well. I've always had good luck with the R1 motors. I run that in my B5. I have it in this. Have it in something else. Can't remember. But always been happy with the R1 horsepower that they've come out with. So moving along in our R1 Works catalog, running a R-Works full carbon fiber plate. I just like it for the stability of the motor rather than just running 2 screws at the bottom. I feel that's a little bit better. Running a 30-tooth Trinity aluminum lightweight pinion, running a 75 spur gear Octalock with carbon fiber pads, R1 discs, and then we are running an Avid titanium top shaft with a heavy-duty B74 slipper spring, and then obviously the titanium R1 couplers on each end of that as well. Running a Rocket 30mm fan, associated carbon fiber case. If you guys know when these came out, I mean, the transmissions were not that smooth, and a lot of it was the plastic case. So if you do have a B7, get the carbon fiber case. It does smooth stuff out. I mean, I believe that was the root cause of the problem. In this, though, I do have the Avid machine cut gears. The 3 idler gears are machine cut Avid. Do have the R1 Works pivot blocks, the C&D blocks, both front and rear, for the pill management on there. Again, R1 Works shock standoffs, Shelly titanium upper spring, Shelly, or maybe it's Revolution's lower titanium spring in there as well. When it comes to kind of the back end setup, using an R1 camber block in the back, that's already a +2. Obviously already using the R1 lightweight titanium CVA axles in the back, and actually running their lightweight axle as well. So that's a pretty cool setup in there as well. But unfortunately, and I shouldn't say unfortunately, I mean, it is what it is. I'll be racing this car soon, because I think what we'll do is, like I said, we'll do a back comparison. You know, we'll run a RC10, we'll run our RC10 long arm, perhaps our B5, and then we'll run this thing, and we'll actually see what difference it is on the track. But man, that suspension is plush. So those Kashima shock bodies do have machine cut internals on them with the X-rings, and those are super smooth. But I usually do a pretty lightweight setup on all my cars. I rather have my suspensions be a little bit lighter. Just suits my driving style better, so I run that. And then obviously we're running stainless and I think titanium screws in a number of places on here as well. So I wanted to do a quick video on my B7. I mean, it looks fast. I don't actually know if it is fast because it's never been ran. But it's got the same shock setup, exact same shock setup as my B5. And should do well on there, hopefully. So I am kind of excited to kind of get this out and see what the new cars have to offer. But like I said, we'll run that in a comparison video. But this car's been in the background. I've had some guys asking me a lot about, hey, what's in your B7 and what do you got in there? And this is what I got in there. And who knows? Now that I kind of do this video, I'm so excited. Maybe I'll just toss this up on eBay like the rest. And because, like I said, I may run it once, and who knows, that might be it. But maybe I just got to run it, see if I like it. And maybe I just pump it up to a 17.5, and I'll run my RC10s and 21.5, and then I can run two classes when I go to more as far as two-wheel drive. And or maybe I'll just keep it one two-wheel drive, one four-wheel drive. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of innovation here. I mean, some of it I know on the front end. A lot of team drivers, including Spencer Rivkin, are going back to a B64 kind of setup assembly to get 0 KPI, because I believe in the stock B7 you can't get 0 KPI, so kingpin inclination. On there, Hall Brothers has a great video on how kingpin inclination works, and so this is at 1, and you would have to go to a B6 assembly to get a 0 KPI in the front. I'm not that good a driver, so I don't even know if I could tell. So I'm going to leave it as is, run it like this, and like I said, we'll have a little comparison video, maybe between all the generations of cars, to see, bottom line, what's the difference on the stopwatch. So again, guys, just wanted to get a video out, and we'll probably do our B74 here this weekend as well. Get that out while I'm waiting on parts for some of our vintage cars and stuff. So hopefully we'll be back on track with our Yokomo come Monday or Tuesday. I guess mail doesn't deliver on Monday due to the holiday, so probably looking at Tuesday before we really get anything back on that. But that car, as soon as I get the suspension in, that car is pretty much done. Just waiting to put electronics, got the body and stuff mounted there. But did want to do a little video on the old B7 here, because I didn't want people to think I'm some old FUD just racing my RTC10s and everything as good as the new stuff. And in reality, they're probably not. The new stuff's probably gonna blow this stuff out of the water, but we'll see. It'll be an interesting couple of videos to compare all these side to side, back to back as we run it more. And like I said, with the track just being changed, it's not going to change anytime soon. I'm guessing that track's going to be around probably for the next 3 months. So we will run on that. And like I said, that's great. It'll provide a consistent surface for us to run everything on. You know, tires are all going to exactly be the same, so those won't be a variable. They're just going to be J-Concept Smoothie 2s and silvers. And it's really going to be car and setup is going to be the only difference. They're all going to have really the same electronics, motor, etc. on there. So that's all leveled out. So we will see come that time. But again, guys, thanks for comment, subscribing, and we'll catch you on the next one.